Welcome to the Progressing Recruiters' Lives Everywhere podcast, brought to you by Amoria Bond. In each episode, we'll be exploring what life is like for those who work in recruitment, from the first weeks of training to the life-changing success stories that can be achieved, all from the people who work within this industry every single day. Now, within recruitment, there are no limits to how far you can progress, and we want to show you how and why choosing to work in recruitment could be the best decision of your life and career. I'm Martijn de Roo, Financial Projects Manager at the Amoria Bond Group based in the Manchester office, as well as a member of the Manchester CSR Committee. And in this episode, I'm talking to Natasha Crump, our Group People and ESG Director. And today we're going to tell you all about our great CSR initiatives at Amoria Bond and why working here can make a huge impact. So, hi Natasha.
Hi,
great to see you. Great to have you on the call. Can you briefly introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us what you do at Amoria Bond?
Yeah, so as you say, I'm People and ESG Director here at the Amoria Bond Group. I've worked with the business for a number of years and joined the board about 18 months ago now, having worked as an NED. My role is quite unique within the industry. In addition to my responsibilities under my people job, which is looking at our talent attraction strategy, our marketing and employer brand strategy, and our people engagement, I'm also responsible for our environment, social and governance strategy as a business. That's what the ESG stands for. It's become a bit of a buzzword or buzz phrase generally across the business world over the last couple of years, ESG. But for Amoria Bond, it's something that the business has always invested in and prioritised. And that's one of the things that attracted me to the business in the first place. First as an advisor and more recently joining as an employee. The business has got its own charitable trust, the Amoria Bond Charitable Trust, and runs a range of initiatives covering every aspect of that ESG kind of remit, which again is really unusual, not just within recruitment, but actually it's quite unusual within the business world. And it's great to be in a forward-thinking organisation like this.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that. Like you said, CSR and social responsibility are quite a few buzzwords that are being used by a lot of companies at the moment. And also Amoria Bond is committed to a culture of social responsibility. So how should our listeners imagine this? What does it mean?
Yeah, because it can be quite a CSR and ESG and social impact. They can be kind of quite they can feel very sort of generic phrases, right? But ultimately, what they all come back down to is a commitment to making a positive impact on the world around us, looking beyond the company's kind of immediate business goals and commercial goals, profitability, growth, and actually looking at what's the impact that we're having and can have, and what's the legacy that we want to leave, both as a company, but also as individuals within that company. So at Amoria Bond, we run a number of different initiatives, both at a business level and in terms of empowering our employees and facilitating our employees to make their own mark and leave their own kind of positive impact on the world. So thinking about the kind of history of the business, like I mentioned before, we've got the Amoria Bond Charitable Trust, and that's been very focused on alleviating poverty and advancing the educational and socio-economic opportunities of people around the world. And the business through the Charitable Trust has been working on a number of long-term projects, particularly in Peru, with another charity called Project Peru and with the local community of Las Laderas. So just to give you a flavour of one of the things that we do as a business, through that partnership, we have built over 100 homes in the Las Laderas area. Las Laderas is a desert shantytown region. It's home to some of the poorest people in the world. I've been there myself. Genuinely is a very, very impoverished area. So the business has sent volunteers out over the last sort of 12 years or so to that area, built 100 homes, housing over 500 people, built 2 soup kitchens, which the company helps to fund, so that they can actually operate, not just build the buildings and then scarp it. We've done a number of projects with the local children's refuge, which is run by Project Peru as well. And actually, we're planning our next initiative and project there, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. So that's one of the areas from a charitable perspective that through the charitable trust, the business is committed to and has been committed to as part of its CSR commitments. There's other things as well that we do locally, and as part of the company's 2020 growth strategy, so 2020 to 2025, we've actually committed ourselves to increased social impact and environmental impact as part of our growth strategy. So the H in growth stands for helping the community, and the business is committed to 5 charitable initiatives over those 5 years, as well as gifting every employee a volunteer charity day every year to use on any charity of their choice. And I know, Martijn, you've used those yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And you gave some great examples of some of the work that is already being done. I myself have been involved in some of the local initiatives that we do, including in our office in Manchester. So we've had some barista days where we keep our teams going throughout the day with we're making them fancy coffees that people can then purchase, which then go towards some of the charities that we work with. There've been some initiatives around Easter, and one of the charities that we work with locally in Didsbury. And we've organised some auction days as well across our offices where members of the teams can bid towards experiences, or it's a cocktail making class, or it's a piece of artwork, all to raise money for some of the great charities that we support as a business. So that's been very interesting to be involved with, and it's very exciting what we have ahead of us in the next coming months and years as well, what we're planning.
Yeah, do you know, it's one of the things I love actually, that, okay, we've got this policy of help the community, and the idea of encouraging and helping to facilitate employees to kind of tap into the things that are important to them, and to be able to kind of help them to give back to things that are important to them, and also to help for people who want to give back but aren't quite sure how. So some of the things you've mentioned there, you know, one of our directors is a brilliant artist who was part of that auction. You mentioned like buying art and bidding for art that was done by someone within one of our teams, that then that money goes towards a local homeless charity in Amsterdam. I just love that kind of those little seeds and the way that that's kind of taken on a life of its own. There was a recent day recently where our L&D team, our marketing team, and our talent attraction team all spent a morning with young people in Manchester, partnering with the EY Foundation around like employability skills. And that was a brilliant day. I was there. It was fantastic. The team did a really, really great job. But that was something that was suggested to them, and they were all quite nervous to do it, but actually they came out of that day buzzing. The feedback that we've had from the EY Foundation is great. We're now looking at what can we do in terms of actually helping EY Foundation to develop another programme to get young people into work in terms of like entry level positions and paid work experience within our business as well. So like the way that those kind of partnerships with local charities develops, it's similar to, you know, we've worked with the Engage project in Manchester for a number of years in lots of different ways, from providing funding for them for a bus that they use for outreach work with young people. It's like kitted out with like, you know, computer equipment and DJ equipment and stuff like that, to donating office supplies and old monitors and things that we don't need within the business anymore, but they really, really need to help them with the work that they do with young people locally, through to kind of helping them a couple of years ago with some of their marketing material. There's lots and lots of different ways that you kind of go and do one thing with a charity or an initiative, and it tends to just flourish. You mentioned like the Francis House project locally again in Manchester, that one where, you know, it started off as a an Easter egg gifting thing, and it's grown from there, and we've done Christmas fundraising for them. And similarly, in Amsterdam and in Cologne, where we've started with something for a particular charity, like with Cologne, we've done some fundraising at Christmas time. Well, I say the teams there have raising money one year, and then the following year basically gifted a present for every single child in one of their children's homes. I think it was like 50, 60 presents. And that's come from employees themselves. And that's what I really, really love about the initiatives here. But it's more than charitable giving. And I think that that's really important to bear in mind when we're talking about CSR and we're talking about ESG. So I talked a little bit about kind of that help the community giving. But as part of our growth strategy as well, we've also looked at our environmental impact. And we have this amazing tree planting scheme that we do here as well. So we've partnered again. So it's a sustainable impact. We've partnered with One Tree Planted, who are a tree planting charity non-profit. They work around the world. The reason we chose to work with them is because of their track record of sustained impact. So they look at not just planting a tree, but creating jobs, protecting local biodiversity, and looking also about the long-term future of the trees that they plant, because that's really important. It's not always the case with every tree planting scheme that's out there. It's something that the business signed up to in July 2020. We launched that initiative with the idea that over 5 years we thought we'd maybe plant the equivalent of a forest, which I'm reliably informed is 70,000 trees. Well, we've planted 40,000 so far, and that's within less than 2 years. So we're going to smash that target, and that's done every time a client or candidate fills in our net promoter score surveys. We plant 1 tree every time. For every employee, we plant 10 trees every year. Every time an employee is promoted within our business, they get to choose where they want to plant 100 promotion trees, which I love. And every time we open a new office within our business in a new location, we're committed to planting 1,000 trees, either within that country, or if 1 tree planted don't plant within that country, within that region, so as close as possible. So all the time kind of thinking about, as we grow and as we progress our people, how can we give back? And I think that that's a really important part of looking at sustainable, meaningful CSR policies. When you're looking, if that's something that's important to you, when you're looking at a company to work for, look at how sustainable is what they're doing. What are they doing? Does it make sense in the context of their business? Does it have kind of a long-term kind of strategy around it? Because what I'm seeing, sadly, is quite a lot of greenwash across not just our industry, but just industries in general, because companies are understanding that people want to have an impact. They want to work for a company where they can connect the dots and see that actually that company cares about the environment. That company cares about more than just its profit. It cares about communities locally and around the world, and understanding how is that company giving back. Now, I see stuff all the time on social media that we're a really eco company because we give a water bottle to new employees, or we I don't know, we some of the other things I've seen, we recycle our office waste. Well, those are potentially great things. Recycling, absolutely, that's something that's part of our CSR charter. Our environmental charter. But on its own, it's not enough. And actually, one of the things you need to be careful of is actually then looking at where those things are being sourced from. So look, for example, at a water bottle. It's great on paper, but actually a glass in an office is just as good, and it's probably got a lower carbon footprint. And where has that water bottle come from, and has it been ethically sourced? So when you start looking into where you might want to work, and if this kind of stuff is really important to you, my advice would always be to look beyond the surface and look at what's that company's kind of history of CSR and social impact. Can they demonstrate whether what they've done has had a meaningful impact. And again, that's what we really love about the partnerships that we have with with charities like Project Peru in Las Laderas, like One Tree Planted, like Engage, like the homeless charity that we work with, for example, in Amsterdam. These are all charities that we work with that we know have a long-term impact on the lives of the people that they work with. And that's really important in the criteria that we apply when we're looking at who do we want to work with, who do we want to partner with, and actually kind of going, okay, planting trees is great, but what else can we be doing? What else should we be doing? And that's where, developing with the CSR committee, things like the environmental charter are so important, because the company hasn't got all the answers. I don't have all the answers, and that's what I love working with you and our colleagues on CSR committee and around the business, is allowing people to kind of be part of that conversation, help us to develop what we're doing. So, as you know, that's really important to us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really enjoy is that as an organization, we really empower the employees to undertake any of these local and international initiatives. Like we have entire teams in Amsterdam. They recently went out and cleaned up a beach as a team. So it's really driven by the employees as well, and they can come up with ideas on how they want to help and how they want to help progress lives for other people and for charities as well. And some of the things that are coming up where we're supporting some of the youth clubs around Manchester is, as a team, we will go in there and help paint a wall, decorate a garden, clean up the outside of it. So it's not only something that the company tells us to do. It's literally employees making those decisions and making those choices and getting involved and enjoying being involved in those as well. And that's really the culture that sort of flows throughout the organization, that employees are empowered to do that.
Yeah, I love it, and it's really nice when you hear people kind of coming back and then encouraging other people to give something different a try. And there's a real buzz when people come back from those volunteer days as well. And you're right, it really does contribute to our culture. Our culture is so important to us. Our values are so important to us here across the whole group. Doesn't matter which office you're in, across the APAC teams, the European teams, the UK teams. It's very, very important. Actually, I do think that long-term commitment that was set by the founders, they right back, at the start of the business, when they said, we want to create a recruitment business that gives back. We recognise that we have a responsibility to give back. Now, that has set the tone of the business, I think. And having joined so many years later, you can still see it. You still hear it when people talk about our values, and the fact that we're kind of looking all the time. How do we refresh it? What else can we be doing? What else should we be doing? Do you know what? Also putting our money where our mouth is and making decisions and investing in things that might not always be like, the obvious things to do. They might be, putting ourselves out there and actually investing in things that cost more money and that, or making decisions that might impact on growth because they're not the right things to do, or they are the right things to do, and investing in them accordingly. And I think that that's really important too. And I think, we're held accountable by each other in terms of things like, what's our supply chain, who are our suppliers, who are our partners, even looking at things like, we're not doing enough environmentally because we weren't recycling our printing cartridges. There's big things and little things all the time that we can continue to improve on, and actually those small things as well as the bigger programs do actually make a really big difference and a really big impact. I think the key thing for me though is, as well as the kind of one-offs, as well as the important things that we're doing, is that sustainability of what we do, is about those long-term relationships. That's what I'm most proud of, is that kind of that long-term impact. That's what I love most about the approach here. The initiatives that we've and the charities that we've worked with in lots of different ways as well. It's not been the same thing that we've done year after year after year, or it's a kind of an evolution of those relationships as well, because those charities, their needs change as well. And obviously the world around us is changing. And I'm so excited about this year's volunteer trip to Las Laderas, back to the refuge in Peru, which this year we're building another accommodation wing within the children's refuge. And I was there, I stayed there in 2019, and I was in the local community in Las Laderas. I was there for the opening of the second soup kitchen by Amoria Bond Charitable Trust. And the area, as I said before, it's incredibly, it's a really, really impoverished area, but the community are amazing. The people are amazing. They're so grateful for everything that is given to them. And they make it work. They work so hard alongside us. They're not looking for handouts. They're looking for opportunities to help develop and better their community. And that's, it's a really, really wonderful thing to go and experience. And then Project Peru's Children's Refuge is just, honestly, it's like an oasis. I'm telling everyone that they must go, because it's like nothing I've ever experienced before in my life, ever. And I've done a number of different trips in different countries, different charitable initiatives that I've run in different countries or been involved with over many years. And this one is just like nothing else. And because I think you see it's such a direct impact on people's lives, and it's sustained as well, which is just so important. So what
Absolutely.
about you?
Sorry, you'll be able to. Sorry, you'll be able to see the important work that has been done by the teams and by the organisations over the last couple of years, and from where they were to where they are now, and then also especially where they're going to be in the future. So there'll be a fantastic opportunity for this year, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. What about you? What's your favourite kind of initiative or memory of something to do with ESG and CSR that we've done within the business, or that you've been able to do?
I think it's seeing the reaction on people's faces when they're getting help and they're getting assistance, and they see people from outside that they may not know, complete strangers, come in and actually making a difference. So some of the stuff that we've been doing on going into youth clubs and helping to decorate rooms and clean up gardens is a fantastic initiative that we've done. But seeing how well that's being received, and seeing how much that's going to change people's lives by something simple like a redecorated room, or something simple like having a safe space, and knowing that you've been part of that one, and getting a thumbs up and a thank you from a committee at the end of the day is it's very, very rewarding.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I remember when we built the library and it's when I was working alongside the business, not in the business, but Amoria Bond funded a library for a local school. And I was lucky enough to be part of it. I think it was 5,000 books that were funded, and all the new furniture within the build. The school just didn't have a library, and the business paid for that library. And it was the school of one of our employees, who's still with the business now. And I remember going in on the day that we kind of were handing over the final check, and the library was being launched, and it was gorgeous, and it had all this lovely stuff around the walls, and all the kids were so excited. And I remember just going in and chatting with the head teacher and the teachers, and they were just like, so why have you done this for us? It's amazing. And we were just like, oh, well, one of our employees said that it was needed, so we all agreed that it was a really good project. And basically everyone just got behind it, and that's the culture, that's values being lived for me. And you're right, it's that reaction, it's priceless.
Yeah, no, fantastic. That's absolutely 100% agree with that one. So apart from Las Laderas this year, what else are the plans on the CSR front for 2022?
So we are working on our plans to get to net zero. So that's a really, really big commitment. And again, going back to that comment I made earlier about seeing kind of empty promises and greenwash, we want to make sure that what we're committing to is what we can deliver. So that will happen this year. We will set out our plans for how we are going to achieve that and by when. So that's a really big focus for us this year. And then obviously we've got the volunteer trip going to Peru. We're also looking at what we can do to extend the environment charter for the business, and we're obviously looking for 200 volunteer days to be used this year, because we give every employee a volunteer day every year. And we want every employee to use them. I mentioned as well, we're working on entry-level jobs for young people who come from less advantaged backgrounds, and who come from backgrounds that they tend to not go, that their unemployment rates tend to be a bit higher. So we're working with a number of different organisations about how we can do that, and that's not just in the UK. That's across. There's a programme happening in our Cologne office as well. So yeah, there's lots on the agenda. What's exciting is we don't know everything that's on the agenda yet, because it's a case of what will employees come up with as well, and people take us by surprise, which, it happened with one of our employees last month, who decided to take the lead and spearheaded a humanitarian aid van over to Ukraine to help with the Ukraine humanitarian crisis, with the as a result of the situation there. And he single-handedly organised a van, and employees and the business supported with donations and financing, and he drove that over to the Polish-Ukraine border. I mean, who'd have seen that coming? That to me is absolutely fabulous. And so when I say I don't know everything that's going to happen, I don't, because our colleagues surprise me and inspire me on this every day. And I know that sounds a little bit cheesy, but it is genuinely the truth.
It is, though. I absolutely agree. You all of a sudden get an email about a colleague who does a charity run and starts running 20-30 miles, and it's for something that's close to his heart, and to see everyone getting involved in that and supporting the individuals as well is really heartwarming to see, and yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, I was set the challenge this morning. One of our colleagues who is wanting to raise some money told me this morning she's going to be jumping out of a plane. She appears to be nearly as scared as me of heights, and she set me the challenge and said, why don't you do it with me to help raise money for Peru? So you heard it here first.
Fantastic. Looking forward to hearing all about it. I'll get behind you. Fantastic. Last but not least, Natasha, what do you enjoy most about working at Amoria Bond?
Oh, this is going to be such a cheesy answer.
I
know. I'm allowed two things. So it is 100% the people. I genuinely really, really love the people that I work with. I quite often post the very cheesy hashtag "love my team, love my job." But I do really mean it. I was never going to come back from being a consultant. I was never going to go and be employed again. I made up my mind about that, and but the company won me over, and here I am back in a business, not in an advisory role. And there's a reason for that. It is the people, but it's also the appetite of the business to evolve. It listens to employees. It is open to suggestions. It is open to feedback, and wants to continuously improve and be a brilliant place to work. And for me, that's why I chose to work here. That's why I'm still here, and that's why I really love it here. How about you?
It almost sounds like echoing what you say, and I know it sounds a bit like a cliche, but it is the people who make an organization, and working in an environment where it's you can be open to be who you are and what you want to be, but also you can grow very fast and very high up and be supported by an organization as well is really important, and having a great company culture is obviously something that's for me personally is something that's close to my heart, because you want to be happy what you do. We all work long enough as it is, but to be working for an organization that can be where you can be flexible, you can be open, you can grow, you are supported as an individual and as a team as well, is something that's really high on my list of priorities as well. So it's you mentioned that the company is growing very fast and is continuously evolving. So there's a lot of new things on the horizon, and every day is a school day. So you learn new things every day, and it's just a very very excited environment to be in.
Couldn't put it better myself, Martijn.
Fantastic. Right. Thank you so much, Natasha, for all your information and your insights and your experiences. It's been very interesting to listen to this, and I'm sure that everyone who's listened today will gain valuable knowledge about our CSR initiatives. And hopefully be motivated to experience this themselves with us. So if you want to know anything more about CSR, about our organisation, about working in recruitment and progressing lives everywhere, then please visit amoriabond.com for any more information. So yeah, thanks very much, Natasha. It's been great catching up with you.
Thank you, Martijn. You are an absolute natural.